This year made my first year in the high school game. High school game is kind of different, but this made my 7th year teaching the music. Very diverse. I've started off working with Mexicans, all Mexican school, Hispanic school in Houston. That was very diverse for me. But what made me mature as a teacher and as a band director is school where he came from was McDonald 32. I actually started teaching at 18 years old. Graduated high school at 16. So I started teaching at 18 years old. And it's just been an experience. Like, it's always a learning experience. And bring me on at Booker T, it's just been a learning experience because high school and middle school is different. Because I was the head band director at Martin Berman. Okay. Last year, I was the head band director for 2 years at Martin Berman. So the middle school game was it's just a whole nother feel.
I agree with that one. It is like, I started off my career being a band director at McDonald 32, I want to say about 12 years ago. And I started over there with that program, and I did about 5 years there. And then from that, I went to Alice Middle School, and did 5 years there. And then this is my 2nd year at Booker T. Washington High School. And it's very different, like you say, coming from middle school level. The different things that I experienced, I tell people when you start to really build a program, a lot of times from scratch, where you're dealing with kids who have to drop down to the lowest level of, introducing the band and Higgles' instrument and breaking down the theory and really getting to that kid so they can understand the vision that you're trying to have, as a program. And then we come to high school, then, high school is a whole different realm of stuff. And then COVID, like, kind of really just kind of pushed everything for us because this year, it was our 2nd year at Booker T. Washington, we had great motivation of building this program to make the pride of Uptown really grows. And then here we go, my 2nd year as a teacher, then COVID just kind of wipes everything clean, and we kind of restart back up, and Mr. Hill come on the staff with me, and then we try to go, and it's just like a learning experience, because I tell people, like, being a band director has no manual. It's just, you get put into situations, things happen, just like this COVID situation, just how to teach or how to break stuff down. It's really just you kind of going through trial and error, or you're lucky, fortunate enough to have a mentor or teacher to kind of break it down to you. Then you learn. But besides that, just kind of you and a group of kids and an instrument in your hand is all on you from that part. So that's some of the kind of like smaller things that I kind of, I guess, of my career, and then where we at during this time of this coming up this pandemic.
Yeah, I feel like because this is my first year being like the head band director of a program. I worked with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff Office Band of Excellence since I got out of high school, being the beginner teacher, assistant, stuff like that. And like, it's different, than what I could have imagined dealing with Corona. I'm glad for it, but it has some setbacks as well. During this time I was able to really dig deep with the students and get them to understand what they're doing. I only had like one 8th grader, and he ready for high school because I was actually able to get dealt with him. I had maybe 2 students who played the horn before this year, and I built it from 0 to, we at 37 right now. We had about 80 applications at one point, but when you really get down to the nitty gritty, doing the virtual, the hybrid, in person, all that stuff, in 1 year, it made me a better teacher. I'll say that. Like you said, there is no manual to it. I was just able to have different mentor teachers reaching out to as many band directors as I could, and trying to suck up as much knowledge really helped me, though. I'll say that, and to prepare for next year.
I would say, like, man, me personally, COVID helped me out a lot. A lot of people was like, oh my God, COVID came strike, and I was talking to Mr. Hill, part of the staff, like, it gave me an opportunity to be a teacher. I feel like a lot of times we get caught up in a game where we have to be prepared for games, weekends, and week out performances, and as directors, we all have this, like, collectively, we normally have a line, is we pushing the kids. But just to be honest, like, I literally taught my hardest I taught during COVID, because I had no performances. I had nothing to back against the wall push. So honestly, I tell people, I feel like I made the program even stronger coming out of COVID, just because I didn't have no pressure. Because at the end of the day, when it's pressure on you, you're trying to get ready for this game. You got a big performance coming up. Let me feed these kids this song because I just know we got to do a pop-up performance coming up. But I was like, hey, COVID hit, and I took the opportunity to build the program, because everybody was going through the same thing. COVID kind of wiped all of us clean on the same platform. So I'm like, hey, let me take this opportunity at Booker T. Washington to really teach, to really get down to the nitty gritty, and let's really learn. And it really pays off with our program. Like we starting back up and reading songs, and all of the kids are excited to talk about, man, I'm reading, it's so much easier. I can understand this now. It's not going as fast because we were able to break down the theory, then break down clapping our rhythms, and then playing all the scales and just getting them familiarized with understanding stuff. Even like our drum section, we're fortunate enough to have all of our drummers get all the cadences on papers, but that took a lot to push. And big shout out to my drum instructor, Mr. Gerald Daniels. He writes every single cadence and then put it on paper. But the kids would have never got that if they would have been rushing, learning cadence, learning parts, where we could stop and actually break down. You are a music student. You're not a percussionist. You're not a horn player. You're going to sit here and learn music. And then COVID, just kind of helped us out.
Yeah. In my experiences, I actually started going back, similar to you. Like once I graduated, I sat out a year from high school. I was in Florida. I had no desire to pursue music or anything like that. And then when I came back to 6-7 years. So the first full school year post Hurricane Katrina. So it was just something in me that made me say, you were part of the last set of drum majors, from St. Aug, go back to St. Aug and do what you can. So I started as an assistant at 19. And I dealt with post-Katrina culture. I did some years at St. Aug, built it all the way up to where it's like, we kind of got our swag back when we swelled back up in size, color guards big, nice size trumpet section, etc. Then I went and spent a year at Nacar. And that was a career, a culture change for me, because not only was I already used to St. Aug for X amount of years as an instructor, but I was used to it as a student too. So up until that point, I got 12 years of St. Aug in me. And then now this is just a complete world, a brand new world. So just to learn, their lingo, how they adapt to the kids and stuff. So I was able to adapt to that, and I picked it up real quick. And I had no intentions on going anywhere. I was going to stay at Call for as long as I could, but they changed administration at St. Aug, and they reappointed directors and stuff. So I was welcomed back and spent a couple more years at St. Aug. Left again, and I was out. I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna continue to pursue, my other career and stuff. And then, then I dealt with PC St. Aug, because I was asked to come back again. So I did 2 more years, right? Yeah, I was like Phil Jackson. You're not Phil Jackson, or retire, you then come back, and then so that kept being the case. So I went back, and when I went back to St. Aug, just within those 3 years I was absent, I was like, man, like, what is this new PC culture that we're a part of? Because when I stepped all the way away, I was completely out of tune with everything that was going on with the high school demographic as it stands. So it was just like, certain language, certain actions, like, not so much PT, and that, again, a brand new world. So then hung around, go to young audience on the cusp of COVID, and we can't do anything, nothing. When they finally opened it up, we could only have a small fraction of the band, but majority of the students were virtual. So we're trying to appeal to students whom we've never even met in person. So that was a challenge within itself. And it sounds like, our story was relative to everybody else in the room, trying to take the time to actually teach and stuff like that. But, by God's grace, the spring semester was a lot better. And I'm actually able to be on campus, to teach rudimental drumming, from the early stages and stuff like that. And it was just like, once I was able to get most of my drummers together, it was off to the races, But then, now here I am at West Jeff now, so we're gonna see how that happens. So I've seen every situation to be thrown at you in regards to teaching. I've pretty much seen it all.
I think that makes a strong teacher though, because it's different things we go through. Like we talked about, like him being at all these different schools, going back, different generations, and trying, you starting off at a young age, you've been working with different people, then now where you at, because that's what makes us strong. Right. That's what made the people we looked up to and admired before the storm, a lot of these older directors, the different times and eras they went through, because we just kind of grown and learning. And I tell people, and then the world is constantly changing so much with administration, schools, what you can't do with kids, what you can't do, what is the verge that could get you fired, your post, whatever. And I just tell people, can you adapt? I'm not saying it's the right thing, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing, but are you adapting to times to make it better to fit your situation of whatever school you at. We have the same story, but in all our places, kind of a different language. Like you said, you can't do this over here, well, you can do that over here, but I can't do this. So it makes a strong ass men, though. And I think collectively, you know, especially as speaking, we start realizing, man, we all in the same boat, but we all driving in a different perspective, like, you know, and it's good. I feel like it's healthy language because we just don't have healthy language. Like sometimes we just think it's just us over here, but like you in the school around the corner do the same problems.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So by you saying that, with everything that's going on, by the willingness to adapt, right? I think we all, by us being on the same page, we're all willing to adapt. I mean, I guess the question is, you have an increase in athletics. All of a sudden, everybody think they could be a D1 athlete. Do we ever feel like the city of New Orleans will once again be the mecca of marching bands?
That's kind of hitting personal right there, because I always say, like we always talk, it's like when we're going to be great, when we're going to be great, when we're going to get the kids back. One thing that we always talk about hours on the phone, how can we keep the kids engaged? That's one of the main things that we try to do off the wall stuff, like going out of town and let's do this, let's just have a big cookout or something just to get the kids engaged. Because right now, the sports is at the forefront. Think about it. Once the pandemic happened, band couldn't perform, but they let sports perform. Yeah. They let made show sports because it generates money for the state. You know, because you got LSU, you have the Saints, you have this. It generates money to the tax dollars to the state. Yeah. So that's why. Remember when I was talking to you the other day, not just recently, I was like, we need a band union. Yeah. Because when it comes down to all the way down to our contracts for parades, is when it comes down to how we function, what we should be teaching our kids. It's no way we're the city mega of music. I mean, the country's mega of music, and we don't have a marching band facility or a marching band something to enhance our school. We don't even have music stores in New Orleans.
That's crazy.
And this is the band city. We don't have music stores. Like, no, like we have to come together because there's so many of us, even the older guys. We're starting to let our older legends, we're starting to let them die off before we even get the knowledge, the wisdom from them. Exactly. We're starting to let them die off, but that's again, we have to come together as a group, and it's a lot of us.
So much. What he said, just to back up a little bit, let's talk about sports. Sports have a lot of camaraderie. Mm-hmm. You know, their passion, they get together, and I feel like in band, we lost camaraderie. We lost the making sure our kid becomes great, and more of look what I did. Look at this song I passed out. Oh, I made a beast snare drummer. I made a beast trumpet player. But at the end of the day, are we collectively taking kids and pushing them how sports is? You know, people like to pride themselves. We signed 12 D1 athletes. You know, our kids is going to LSU, and from there, they talk about how many kids from St. Aug that plays in NFL. Right. You know, they always talk about that. How many kids from the SEC and all that. Like, band, what do we stand on? Like, what is our pride thing?
Right. Well, and I'm gonna tell you. Well, and there was a period of time. There was maybe a 6 or 7 year period where St. Aug started off at 6th grade, and we were marching anybody who came in. So from grade 6 through 12, right? But this is the problem though. So we were doing a great job at building camaraderie. You know, we were building pride. We were building, you know, all of the good stuff that not only St. Aug is made of, but that all the good stuff that marching bands period are made of. Right. The problem is, at St. Aug anyway, you know, we had young men 6th, 7th, 8th grade. By the time they get to 9th grade, they've already been marching in that band 3 years, and they only in the 9th grade. Yeah, and now they're starting to, you know, to experience, you know,
the time we burn kids. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, but the burnout, and I'm gonna tell you, that's why we made sure that we gave a lot of supplemental stuff to keep them interested, because we knew we had 6th and 7th grade and that was participating. But again, they've already been a part of it for 3 years. They've already marched from coast to coast in a matter of 3 years. They went to Canada. They went to California.
Because the school I'm going to has 6th through 12th grade. Mm-hmm. So you just told me by the time they get to the 9th grade, I will have a burnout problem.
Yeah. So and that was the problem, because now not only are they burned out, but now they done got taller. You know, their physique is starting to change. So now they want to go explore athletics. Had we would have not begun to lose them, you know, the band would have easily gotten to 180 pieces right around 2016.
For my man right here, Mark, because I taught middle school for 2 years. He taught middle school for about 4,
4
5
years, like
5
4
years.
years.
Middle school, the same thing. You get a kid in 3rd grade. Oh man, I got a kid, got a great year. He's gonna play. 5th grade. Remember, you can't start sports in the 3rd grade in middle school.
Yep, you
Or
gotta
4th
be in
grade.
4th
So
grade, right.
you pump it in, you
Right,
pump it in.
right.
You hit puberty. You get a little bigger. Oh man, you're a nice side. Hey, come on over here. Man, you gonna miss band practice? Man, we play the same B-flat kind of scale 4 years straight. And I think that's a lot that's changed because when we was in school, you had elementary, middle, high.
Right.
A different scenery as they change it. So middle schools, they got kids from 4 through 8. That's 5 years. So by the time they get to us, they ain't trying to march down the same St. Charles Street that we amped up, like you say. So it's like, you're right, it's what do we do to like make it more like the next thing, you know, like sports, you make like the all-star team, or you get scouted and you go to LA shoot camps and you go to, what we got?
Well, the upside, they have All-Star and they have BOE. You know, that's the upside to
But
it.
is it really to the point where it's magnifying them?
No.
See what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference between when something is tangible and I can touch with something you have to work for. You know, at the end of the day, we can see an athlete goes up and they got rankings and stars. It's just a better system. Our system, some kind of way, is just the system we kind of made. All of us.
I think that kind of fell through where you kind of take out the music superintendents and stuff like that. Like you said, with an overseer, you know, a lot of these cities and states have a lot more than we have, or have a better system.
Yes.
You know, you can have a child in Baton Rouge. They'll progress all the way through all 4 years, maybe even 5 years in their high school, you know, because they have all district. They have children auditioning at a young age. They have children getting like pushed hard and can see their actual growth through, through something physical. You know, they get trophies, they get awards, they get to go do things that not everybody in their band gets to do. You know, I think the fact that band is very one-sided in New Orleans. You know, a lot of band directors are not touching concert band. A lot of,
Not to cut you off, the reason being, when I talk to other directors, most of the time the festivals is doing Mardi Gras. Yeah. So it's now, Mardi Gras is the biggest fundraiser that we have to generate money to our band program, because the school's not really funding the band programs. So it's now you leaving the band directors to choose between funding my band and making sure I can get to have a band for next year, or going to festival. Yeah. But that shouldn't be a band director's decision though. It shouldn't be our decision to sit there and be like, well, I need about $10,000 to start next year's band program off.
Why we never did though? Why we never did our own festivals? If we're marching band and we're talking about a culture thing here, we're talking about our African American people. Why do we sit there and complain about the LMEA festival? Say it's not for us, but we never did something for us. We have that power. The LMEA festival is a nonprofit organization got together that people pay to get into. The LSHA for sports is a nonprofit organization that people pay to get into. Right? They don't have no jurisdiction. They don't have that. When COVID was going on, remember how they kept saying they're gonna play sports? Why are we gonna do something for ourselves? You just said what's going on. You said it was during parade season. Nobody said what about April?
Yeah.
Nobody said what about me. I'm not saying, but we just collectively.
And then it won't work because think about it. Right after parade season, most of your typical bands typically do a spring concert. So if every band is going into concerts, no. But then you think about this. Now I have to keep my kids engaged. So now after band season, they want to leave and go off. So now I have to take a band trip. So I can't focus on it because Maya Angelou said in her book, because they know so little, they know so little, they're gonna pretend to know even less. So,
but that's bad for the culture. So we basically saying is we're trapped by talent. I'm not saying you. We're saying we're trapped by talent.
Yeah.
Because now, if I don't keep this kid engaged, he is going to X, Y, go off. Then they help. We hostage.
but you gotta, when you make it, not even just a requirement, but just something that is just a bare minimum of being a full or all-around musician. Like I said, this is my first year out of school. I got a boy right now, he loved the band. He graduated. I have a boy, he graduated, he loved the band. He played drums, all that other stuff like that. Never played a baritone. Put him on baritone this year. Man learned 6 scales in a matter of 4 months. Sight read anything. I'm talking about it and put Trombone King in front of him. We were working on Ballroom and Bailey. Rollins and French fighting over him right now.
I need to be the third one to fight. Sorry, French. I'm gonna get one of these BTW shoes. You know? We're gonna do something.
And he was fighting me early in the year as far as like, man, how come we don't get to do this, that, and the other, all that other stuff like that. You know, but the good thing about my school was they had no culture like that. Middle school, you don't have no middle school real football teams. They don't want to play flag football anyway. Mm-hmm. They want to, do the contact. So I had that time to really build them and mold them. Man, that kid is something else. He set the tone for the rest of the band. When a new kid tries to come and be like, oh, I played trumpet a year before last, the children ask him, you know how to read music? Oh, no, I ain't that too good. You know your scales? I know the B flat concert scale, the B flat. They got more than one scale. I got a girl in 7th grade, first year, all 12 scales. She working on a C scale, 3 octaves.
We don't push that. That's why kids only glorify what adults shows them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We just and we responsible for it.
And beyond just the adults, that's in front of them, it also goes according to the public perception.
What I'm saying, the culture.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody collectively who we are in the particulars.
Yeah, so it's just like, I could listen to my director, I could go back home and listen to what the neighborhood say, man, blow that thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now you're tearing up your amateur, despite
like
what you're
so many years, now that thing going away.
Exactly.
But that keeps them interested, though. If you teach them the fundamentals, and you give them a little bit of that, because I'm with the cranking. Right. But like, if you teach them the fundamentals, and you give them a little bit of that, and man, once they get to high school, you don't need the band director on your back teaching you scales for all 4 years. You get to come into an environment to where you play. Yeah.
I'm saying we need discipline. It needs to be. They need to have the discipline, the structural discipline, structure.
We need a superintendent. I don't care if it's an organization that we find somebody who's strong enough. And I'm just saying, it shouldn't be us. It should be somebody that we collectively agree outside that we say this person understands what goes on, and we're a part of this. That's what sports do. They blackball you. Schools around the corner like Lester and Benjamin Franklin, they are now part of the LSSH. At the game team, you know what they do? They don't go to playoffs because they don't want to play the teams in that district over there. So they say don't do it. Why we don't do stuff like that? Why we continue to let people who don't have a voice be the voice for us? Why do we sit back and be like, oh, such and such said it? Who is such and such? And we then became trapped to what's going on in the city.
They're doing that in Mississippi right now. It's not designed for our people out there. When you have to do festival every year and pay a fine if you don't go. You can't go because they want you to have a show designed by somebody who makes you pay a couple $100 or $1,000. They want you to pay for your arrangements.
You got to copyright, make sure your arrangements copyrighted.
If you can't afford that, you can't afford. Yeah, and you get fined anyway.
The Louisiana Southbury, you don't have to be all that.
Yeah.
It would be we can vote on it because technically they can't force us to do nothing.
Yeah.
If I think it's BS, you making money off me, I ain't doing it. Guess what? Garbage won't go, man. I'll try my band to goddamn Texas to go have fun. Well, I'm just saying, in the day, if we don't fight for them, what's gonna happen? I keep telling people, as the ghosts die off, put it out there, what's gonna happen when we take control? It's on us. It's gonna fall on our watch. I say it all the time. And I don't mean band ain't gonna be good, but the system of New Orleans that it was designed for, it was built for, what are we doing as the next set of people after the Mr. Rawlins them and the Ray Johnson that say no, the French, the people we saw coming up.
That's our OG right now.
And right now we like, they're gonna be complete chaos. I see it coming. Yeah, absolutely. Complete. It's already the chaos is here. It's just waiting for 1, 2, or 3 to leave.
But then it's still like this. Now we still have this barrier, dude. And I have to say this barrier because y'all older than me and him. It's that barrier. It's that barrier to where the younger people starting to come out. Like we're coming out of school and stuff. The younger people starting to come out, and it's like we've been doing this for 20 years, and I've been successful for 20 years, and I'm trying to tell you this new flavor that's out now, but you don't want to listen to my new flavor because you've been successful for 20 years.
You know why?
But Rome has to fall sometime.
You're right. And you know why? Because bands and the winners and losers. You can say what you want about things that has grade levels of standards of sports. If you keep running to ain't working, and you lose the game, you lost. I don't care you run a wishbone, the wing tink, the shit dead. And like you say, sometimes we take the same music and, oh, this been working. Yeah, 1980.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm a pre-Katrina person. We just had this conversation earlier, but you got to embrace what's coming up. Yeah. You have to.
Absolutely. But also, in addition to embracing what's coming up, also knowing the importance of each band's supposed to have their own identity.
Yeah.
And that's where stuff is starting to get lost, because unfortunately the shuffling of people from school to school, I'm in that too, but the shuffling of people from school to school, that kind of taints the advancement of the kids, because they bring whatever culture that they know and that they're sold on, they bring it to that particular school. When I transitioned to car, I had no anticipation of putting some St. Aug anything into it. I was like, cool, this is EK. We're going to make y'all the best EK. Right. I'm going to put y'all in position to
how
win.
Many directors think like that?
They all should think like that.
But how many think like that? See, that's once again, we go back to perception versus reality. I say it all the time. We just say a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, how do we get checks? How do we get facts? How are we getting graded? Okay, we're a monster band people. We're a monster band community, right? How? Because none of our battles are judged. Think about it. If nothing we have has standards, I can cut through you, play what I want to play, do what I want to do, and leave. And if the crowd say I won, goddamn it, that's the height of the battle. That's crazy. I'm saying the crowd should have a say so. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that shit, but I'm just saying, like, where are our standards?
Exactly. I would say that's due to PC culture, but quite honestly, they stopped judging battle bands years ago.
Well, I'm not saying we E3, it could be old directors. We have a lot of these old directors. The cost of New Orleans, it shouldn't be nobody like us. It should be somebody who we all look up to. It's non-biased.
Well, a lot of times, I could speak on this coming from a St. Aug perspective. Being at St. Aug for 16 years, it was almost like anything that we participated in, it was as a guest band. Like they wouldn't allow us to compete, and that right there not only does it discourage us from showing up, but it discourages the kids from wanting to continue to march. We receive invites as the guest band.
On a community band.
But here's the thing though, so it's just like, I mean, we all been around long enough. We've all done seen the footage. We've all have seen, certain bands have an astronomical year where they knocking heads off, and then the following year it'll be another band, and then the following year it'll be another band. At what point, do you have hardware to actually prove that? Because St. Aug was always top 2 bands for forever, but we weren't always number 1, and that's just the reality. So it's just like
you're battling St. Aug. They all get points because it's St. Aug. We were talking about it earlier in the room. When you battle certain high school directors down here, you're battling that person and their entourage.
True indeed, but then also the flip side of that coin, you also get deducted a bunch of points because you are who you are, and that was the situation with us. We went to go compete at a battle of the bands in Baton Rouge some years ago, and we heard the audio because we knew it was going to be judged. So there was audio commentary while they were actually knocking their scores, and the things that we saw from the band that placed first ahead of us, it was just like, you graded that more superior than this. At this point, you micromanaging because it's St. Aug. Yeah. You're not grading St. Aug against every other band there. You're grading St. Aug versus St. Aug at its edifice.
We don't. I feel like we can't take winners and losses. Like our true standards. This is what's going on, like you say, and this is what it is. If you participate in it, if you signed up for it, this is the category. Absolutely. But we don't do that.
But look, I'm about to tell you, said it was grading St. Aug for old St. Aug, right? Let's think about our parades. Let's think about the parades in New Orleans. Some years, other bands be better than St. Aug, but St. Aug is not going to leave out that first spot in the parade.
Well, not out the first spot, but there has been plenty of times, and the Knicks trophies will tell you, St. Aug, when they first started Knicks, St. Aug might have won first place those first 2 years, but then after that, it just, we've had peaks and valleys.
I'm not talking about first place. I'm talking about the first spot in the parade, the first high school to lead the parade.
Right. Well, so I'm gonna tell you, that's up to the parade crews, because when the parade crews, when they pull up and they negotiate, when they write to the school to pitch for the band, they most of the time they will lead with that. Now there have been situations where they may have said something else via paper, and when we show up, it's something else. And it's just like, well, nah, like that ain't what you said. So because that's not what you said, load up. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm cool with that. But if we agree to show up and we march in third, we're gonna march third if we agree to show up.
I agree. I definitely respect that.
And like I said, and a lot of people leave with that stereotype. Oh, if St. Augustine first, they not marching. That's not true. That's not true. Like we get the parade contracts and stuff. And like I said, there's been a situation where we were told we were going to be the first band, and we show up and they trying to bump us to like third or fourth. And it's just like, well, day of, like we don't really play them type of games.
You gotta respect that, because if they fall for that, then people try to get you. You got to
every single time.
It's business.
All you gotta do is say you're gonna put them first in the paper, and then when they show up, put them anywhere. It's gonna start.
It is. I agree with you.
Because all those parade crews, they converse in their network, just like we need to be.
And exactly. That's why I think about it. Even in our checks, when we get checks from the parades, all that differ. Big time. Like I was talking to me at Burnout, when I was talking to some of my middle school directors, they said they getting almost $500, $1,000. You can't feed your damn kids with $500. No. That's not even enough for a bus to get to the parade.
But I feel like it's our fault. We're dealing with people who's not of our ethnic. Like they know we the entertainers. Let's be honest. Why do you think we in the parades? Why do you think they pay so many schools? They know we the entertainers. So if we're used for our talent, why are we not trying to help our brother or sister out on side of us? Like, hey man, don't take nothing less than this. I ain't saying you're gonna get what I got because I worked hard, but I know. Like you say, when I first started from middle school, I had an organization, and I ain't gonna say their name, made me audition. And this parade was regular. Then they had the nerve to laugh at they paid me $250. And this is school this a neighborhood school from the neighborhood parade. They paid me $250. And I'm like, how the hell am I feeding my kids some damn Brother's chicken? I can't even feed them.
Let me make it even funny. He left that school, and I became the assistant band director at that school with Mr. French. And we still had to audition for that same parade. Like audition, like they came to the school and say, you gotta have your kids out. We need to hear how they sound before we can see y'all can get in the parade. And they're gonna discuss how much we pay you. These children, like you understand, this is children that we're dealing with, children. Yeah.
So I definitely agree. So like I said, once again, if we have no union, no type of camaraderie, no type of experience of talking, how do we know when things are going wrong? Because there's no manual.
But that's where you gotta make a demand. Like with the entertainment, music is what really runs.
But how do we know how much demand is? You don't know?
Yeah, but you can look at these fast food restaurants. A lot of these people walking out because they're not getting paid enough, or they getting overworked, this, that, and the other. I seen a McDonald's thing, $16 an hour, 40 plus weeks, this, that, and the other. These people are getting more respect than the bands, the people with degrees, because you're not making demands all across the board.
You know why? You know why? Because at the end of the day, is they still relying on that old ethos. Every kid in the neighborhood can play a trumpet. Every kid in the neighborhood can play drums. So they really think we out there just doing it for the love, which we are, which we are. Because I mean, in middle school, I didn't know nothing about bands. I didn't know, I was just happy to be out there, But that's what they're relying on, and they lowballing us because of that.
But that's what I'm saying. Well, I remember clearly being a middle school director. I didn't even know what the rate was. This how a lot of crews talk to you. Hey, how much you charge? Shit, $700. All right. Then I'm gonna tell somebody how much you got paid. $3,000. Like, but I'm saying though, how do you even know what is a minimum standards? Hey, everything going up. Think about it. Buses go up every year. Right. That's the number one money making school system, y'all. We need to go being buses. Like, parade contracts will go up. When we get a raise every year, cost of living raise, right? A lot of parade contracts don't kind of go up. You kind of stay there till you start complaining. And then they're like, okay, we'll throw you a few $100. And then, you know what I'm saying?
The amount to be recruiting of each parade goes up
every year.
So why we keep getting peanuts? But then those people in the front, those big dogs people, they get paid good money, which is understandable. You know what I'm saying? And we in the back, we can't even pay for buses. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't even.
Should be able to at least turn some type of.
I'm gonna be real, so like, and I get it. Like the average school in the city, what, 5 buses? 5, 6 buses.
For all your organizations.
All your organizations. Think about it. How much buses? Like $250 now? Some buses charge about an hour.
Yes.
So let's just say they don't do the hour. Let's just say they do $250 parade times 6. That's $1,200. Let's just say roughly $1,500. If they even give you $2,000, by the time you feed your kids pizza, what you got? So what fundraiser you got? There ain't no fundraiser.
It's really not.
It's not. Some schools getting it, and I can't compare yourself to every school. Everybody got different levels. Don't get me wrong. But their level should go up, and we got to build a minimum wage level up. We don't even have a minimum because we don't even know. And people not even going to tell you because they're going to think you're telling my hustle. Well, you paying Booker T over there $4,000. No, it's not like that. But I'm looking out for you. Saying, bro, these people got money. You might want to try to get $2,000, $3,000 out of them.
And see, that was the culture shock of me going to other schools because, you know, originally where I come from, it was, okay, you got an hour before the parade, from between dismissal and the parade. Eat, we march, we go back to school, you get on, you know, you get in your car and you go home. They wasn't worrying about feeding.
Right,
Then
right.
when I get to the other schools, you know, these new schools, and they tell me, okay, well, we got to negotiate, you know, to compensate for meals and stuff like that. I'm like, meals? You know, but I'm glad to have that type of experience because I'd have just been completely one dimension. I would have never known, you know, you guys' plight that you were in.
Right. And then another thing is, the band is the school's main PR tool. We're the biggest recruitment for the school. We're in front of millions and millions and millions of people every year, right? It's physically impossible that the school should not help fund in Mardi Gras. How's it going, Doc?
Hey, what's going
How's it
on?
going?
How y'all doing? Man. Oh yeah, man. Hey, man. Blessing to be here. I just happened to walk up, dropping something off, handling some business. I hear something I happen to know a whole lot about, and I just couldn't help but you know, drop some nuggets. So, gentlemen, I know these two gentlemen very well. I'm Burdell Mitchell. I'm the former band director at Martin Berman Charter School. I started in 2006 after the hurricane. My last year of being an active band director was 2016. So, yeah, man. I know, huh? We old. And so my path, I started off, I got my degree and stuff like that, ancillary certs, that's another thing I'm gonna bring up real quick. Ancillary cert, got my degree. Because of my acumen, I do a whole bunch of stuff. I started doing operations and, you know, it's a lot of band directors don't make it into administration, and I'm one of the few. So, yeah, man, I happened to walk in on that parade contract stuff. Man, there's a reason why schools like, let's say, Southern and Talladega and let's say Brother Martin and East Jeff, why they command the sums that they do when they do. One of the principles is scarcity, you know, so everybody can't get Southern every year. Everybody can't get Talladega every year. You know, Talladega is relative newcomer, but they had to kind of establish their presence, and that's gonna go into something else I'm gonna talk about too, is you know, you have your scarcity, so your demand is up. Everybody wants to see Southern. Everybody wants to see Grambling, you know, and other areas of the state. People want to see LSU. They want to see that. LSU don't perform like that. Southern doesn't perform like that. It has to be a very high profile event to get those schools there. Not East Jeff, I'm sorry, but Jesuit, they don't perform consistently, you know, in the area. So when people see them, they feel like it's a treat, all right? We've experienced this. Remember that battle of the bands that used to happen at Tag Home? Right? Oh, yeah, right? So the first time it happened, I was an assistant band director at McMahon, man. I remember that. Man, the first time it happened, it was packed, man. Edge, I don't know if you was the, you know, but you could not get a ticket. It was the first time it happened. You could not get a ticket. Everybody had something to offer to the table. Corn did the drill backwards blindfolded. Yeah, man. Jackson State came through, shut it down. Like, oh man. So that was the first time that it happened in the city, to that level, and it sold out. Dude made so much money, you know, that I can only imagine, because I'm not in his books. It made so much money that it became an annual event. Right? What happened? The product started getting watered down. All right, people started being able to count on it. Then, of course, New Orleans culture took over, and then now you can't even get in tag only to do a band, nothing. But the real thing is that it watered down. People started expecting it. Making a name for yourself, man. Talladega, they came and made a name for themselves, being a college band, right? Having a presentation, because presentation is key. Right. Presentation is key. They're entertaining a crowd, this, and this, and that, doing the stuff that nobody else wants to do. What universities come down here and march on a Wednesday night? Right? Who's gonna come down here and do that? So, okay, now we're not gonna talk about the who's better musically and all of that, right? But the Bloody Sunday, shouts out to the gentleman who shot that, that Bloody Sunday, we all remember it. I remember it as a band director. I'm tweaking trying to get out to the lineup. I could, man, we way in the back. I left the kids out. Right?
Everybody was scared.
And so what, whoever opinion, who won the Bloody Sunday, that's your opinion. But one thing that does matter is the public's perception. And so now, in my opinion, and then talking to family, friends, having this debate over and over, almost coming to blows, veins popping, right? All that don't matter. What matters is the people out on the street, how do they perceive you? And so now, for Talladega, a previously unheard of organization, shouts out to Mr. Bonds, but they came, they established a presence. They established a public opinion. And so now, that combined with the things that they've done, they've started to garner an appreciation, which in turn gives them negotiation power, leverage. Now, parade crew that parades at 6 p.m., you're offering A, but parade crew that's parading at 7:30 is offering B. What you got, right? So now apply that to us locally. Apply that to, band directors locally. If you have the product combined with the scarcity, then you can create a demand for yourself. The market is saturated here. The market is saturated here. When I started, it wasn't as tough. Because not everybody had a band. Not everybody had a band. And that was a blessing. That was a blessing and a curse. Look at this guy. It was a blessing and a curse, right? It was a blessing because expectations were so low. It was so low. It was a curse because expectations were so low, right? So you could really get away with anything until people started building quality programs and stuff like that. And then once people started building quality programs, of course it took time. We had to recover, right? Then the competition got up. And then you were no longer able to start distinguishing programs. And that's what y'all are now. There's nothing unique enough about any given program, in my humble opinion, that sets them apart from everybody else. All right? There's nothing that's truly unique about most programs in this area that sets them apart, so much so that they can command their demand. They can't command their demand.
That kind of goes back to the point that I touched on, where it's just like these parade crews, they feel like because there's so many kids that are interested in music, every kid in every neighborhood plays a trumpet or a drum and stuff like that. They just feel like, okay, well, we may not necessarily want to pay you what you're asking, so we could just go to the next band that's got, a handful of people. Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Mike, walked in when he was saying like he went to another person. That person was me. Hey, what you get? Dude, I got this. What you got? This.
Like 250, right?
You tripping?
Yeah,
No. No.
You told me that.
No.
Call for me.
Yeah, see, so a lot of people don't know those stories, but yeah, it is true. It is true. I mean, a lot of us play professional, and I might gig here, right? Think about the brass band world, right? For real. Rebirth gonna charge you $3,500. Easy, 30 minutes, $3,500. I'm just throwing that number out there. I don't have a base. Hypothetically. I don't know, right? But then let's say, let me throw another brass band out there. Let's say Young Pinstripes. Young Pinstripes might not command $3,500 because they don't have the Grammys, but they might hit you with the 15. Like we still out here knocking. And then you might get some young gunners, the Baby Boys or something like that. They like, man, look, man, we trying to eat, man. I got 5. 5. And so the parade crews, because our market is so saturated, and then you also got to remember that people are trying to get down here to do the parades to increase their profile. Man, we all have seen it. We have all seen it. A parade like Bacchus, they don't need nobody in the city of New Orleans. Nobody. They don't need nobody. They will import whoever they need to. And they'll pay them $1,000. They'll pay them, I'm once again, I don't have any facts, but I'm saying the ability of some of these crews, to march in New Orleans proper. People are clamoring. So there's not a dearth of, they have an almost endless supply.
Do you think that if New Orleans has some type of unity, like a union, that they can kind of get a grip and say, we have to pay the in-schools this, like something like how...
All these parishes that have that, because that's something that we've been talking about these past couple of years as high school band directors, trying to get everybody, justice as far as equal pay, as far as, for your size program and stuff like that. But that's something that used to happen to my knowledge, before Katrina, when the schools were unified. Because you had a director of music and they said, hey, parades, you got to pay all these parish schools X amount of money. If they're this size and up, between this size and this size, they got to get paid that much. Yeah. And I think the older banders could definitely speak on that more. Yeah.
Blessing to be like at the edge of that. Right. So Miss Sloan, Vondell Smith Sloan, shouts out to her, and Keith Thomas got a lot of that historical knowledge too. And so, it used to be a sliding scale. So if you were from like 0 horns and drums, let's get that clear. We're not talking about no twirlies, no nothing, right? Horns and drums. If you were like from, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and if anybody listening to, whatever, I'm saying the wrong thing, but from 0 to like 50 was one price. And then from 50 to 70 was another price. And then anything over 70 was like the highest. And then I know Jefferson Parish actually tried that recently after Katrina. They did try that after Katrina. And so, yes, and. Let's use the 2 high school band directors right now, right? Okay, you've been marching Allah since you came on board, right? Now, you've been marching Allah. Have you ever marched Allah? I'm throwing out a parade crew because I know Allah. We used to march Allah like it's a West Bank parade. So it's a West Bank parade. So let's say the crew of Allah wants to pay y'all $100 because y'all have been marching for years and years and years and years. But the negotiated rate for Orleans Parish is $50. See,
I can respect that because the base pay and certain entities, they can pay more.
Yeah, they could. But the union, what I'm saying is that you're now taking away some of that bargaining power from the individual.
All right. If you look at it from that perspective. Yeah. But it would be better for us base pay. Man, like I got to pay $250 as a band.
But here's the other thing too. Gents. Parades are optional. You don't have to do a parade. If you're doing a parade to fundraise and feed your program, in my opinion, in my jaded, very jaded opinion, if you have to do a parade season to fund your program, you're doing it wrong. Something is happening. Something is happening. Something is happening. You're right. I think you touched on it. You don't have that institutional support to sustain your program, because a parade is the very definition of extracurricular.
Yeah.
Now it brings in publicity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yes, you might have to do a parade, a few parades, but do you have to do all the parades? My answer is no. My answer, I'm gonna stop talking because I know I've been running my mouth, but my answer always was, what do I have to do? And my question was, what do I have to do to sustain or meet, like break even? And when I say break even or sustain, I'm not talking financially. I'm talking about societal community expectations. So on that West Bank, I had to do Allah. I had to do Namtak. No ifs, ands, and buts. I had to do Allah. I had to do Namtak.
In front of y'all school.
It was
It was locked in front of y'all school.
It's a West Bank.
You couldn't leave, go to another parade.
It's a West Bank.
You couldn't even leave out. And you were
It was-
blocked in.
If you in Algiers, you gotta do Allah, stands for Algiers, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Namtak.
You gotta
All
do
this most talked club.
Yeah.
It's
You got it.
mandatory.
And so
Shouts
after,
out to 250.
yeah. Oh man, wow. And then everything else is extra, right? So
I mean, you got a point. That's
Yeah,
valid.
everything
That's
else is
valid.
extra.
That would not get you fired.
no, it's not gonna get you fired. It's gonna maintain your
You
community
don't do
expectations.
You don't do Allah, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say five, but you have a problem.
Yeah. And so we talked about like being able to sustain like budget wise and stuff like that. If you aren't making enough money to pay for your buses, to pay for your students to perform, then you don't need to go to that parade.
Wait, hold up. No, see, I got to go back on that.
Unless it's one of those other ones.
No, I'm not even going to say this now, Tom. I had a situation, I was at a middle school. Middle schools don't get paid that much. We had,
Right.
We had
That's why I was about to
we
get
had a
ready to touch
lot
on.
of buses. I'm not good around. We used to travel on eight buses. I mean, we do the math. 8 times 2 is what? 16.
You're right.
That's big. And middle schools are not getting broke off like that.
Right.
You are absolutely incorrect about that.
Well, I
because
can't really say that either
because it depends on who you are
But-
and what you bring to the table.
Well, y'all got in because y'all was grandfather in.
But at the
Y'all was 2006. Y'all was grandfather in. I had to fight to get in.
but
I
at
had
the
to
same
audition to get
time,
in the same parade.
At the
you was
same-
in.
Wait, they made y'all audition again?
Yes. Yes.
you missed that.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Literally,
When I was at 32, yes.
I'm not gonna say the name. It's a community parade.
Yes.
With a community school that started in the 40s and 50s. 32 was the original school at Algiers. For the
you just
African
gave.
Americans.
Hey man, I don't know nothing about what you're talking about.
Mr. Rover.
I don't
It was
know.
a school that was in the neighborhood, right? They
In a
came-
neighborhood.
They came to the school, and when he became the band director, they made him audition at the same school. Then they gave us $250.
So I don't know about that. Gentlemen. I don't know about
I ain't gonna go
that.
that route, but you feel me?
But that, it goes back to that what y'all asked about the union, right? It goes back to the union. Now, if I have earned that through years of loyalty, performance, and doing all of those things, then I don't think that a new band on the scene should get the same thing. No, I'm just saying, but the union in the negotiated contracts, that's exactly what you're saying. By size,
That's fine because you gotta have at least a baseline.
Okay.
Of the
Thank you.
minimum.
That's all I'm
But
saying.
yeah,
With
you
the
need to have a baseline. You gotta have at
with
least
the
enough
perks in there.
to
With the
fund
perks
my
in
band.
there.
You can't $250. I can't even feed the kids.
No,
you
you
should.
shouldn't.
Minimum salary, NBA, they about with perks and all. That's what I'm saying. Why you
Yeah.
can't have a base and have stuff built in?
So I'm gonna tell you, but then also the gross cancer to that is because like how you brought up, certain band directors could command what they command. Like if you're a brand new band director in a brand new school on the scene, you really don't have much leverage. The problem is a lot of times there's some school leaders that get into place and they want to bring in a new band director. Let's get rid of the old guy. Let's bring my guy in that I know. Let's bring him in. I don't want to give him, 2 years to build a program. As soon as I bring him in, I want a product on the street now because I want to up the school's profile. That's gonna make me look better. Yeah. So they actually, it's a cycle. It is. The school leaders are putting pressure on the directors are putting pressure on the kids. And then because everybody's clamoring to the parade crews are just like, we don't know none of y'all. So $250. Unfortunately, not to do that, but yeah.
You're absolutely correct. It is hell. It is hell trying to get a school that has no profile into a parade. Because they don't need you. They don't need you. They don't.
To build a program.
When I was here, we contacted the parade crew, and I was just talking to him. He's at a rise, and they put us behind a rise, like it's an elementary school. And we was like at the back, full uniform, brand new, 80,000, and we was before the fire truck. I'm just like, damn, we're in high school.
I kind of have something against that. I don't believe at my young kids, my little babies, my fourth graders should be at the end of the parade. Meaning your high schoolers, y'all finish the parade at 9 o'clock. I don't get home till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
It was a 12 o'clock parade.
But I'm just saying, any high school on a given day, any parade, y'all gonna get home around about 9.
We used to get home at 1, 2 in the morning.
So how do we fix that? Because the children shouldn't be in the parades, after a certain amount of miles, they take the horses out. Yeah. They say the horses, that's inhumane for horses to go that much, but you could put fourth graders at the end of the parade.
So part of union negotiations, you only negotiate if you got primarily a middle school band, don't have them marching in night parades.
Now most parade groups say you can't have nobody marching in your parade under age 12, under 13, whatever it is. So if you can march in fourth graders, that's you and your kids.
Let's take the fourth graders out. Okay. I'm just talking about middle school, period. You got high school kids and collegiate students finishing the parade at 4, 3, and all this. This is what I say. Like, say for instance, if I'm your feeder school, right? I feel as if I'm your feeder school, why I can't beat you leading and then I'm right behind you?
All right, cool. But you've been in high school, and when you were in high school as a high school student, right? You expected to go close to the front. Right. That's the area of prestige, right? Because you want to be the top dog. The top dogs go to the front. Supposed to be going to the front. That's an area of prestige. Most middle schools aren't going to have the same prestige as those
a high school.
That's why colleges. That's why colleges are now being put in front of parades like Bacchus. So I understand where you're coming from for those night parades. That's something that's been discussed for years and years and years since I started teaching. But honestly, the way I see it, I still see it like I want to be in the front because I think I'm a big dog, so I should be in the front.
I feel like, quite honestly, but I mean, now that you're telling me that and you're 100% right about that, I feel like the early parades should be reserved for the middle schoolers. That way that'll give them a lot of time to actually shine and not have to worry about being oversaturated with the bigger bands and then the college bands and stuff like that.
I'll give you one better. Yeah, when I got over at Berman, when I was getting my contracts together, Mr. Mitchell was still at Berman. He was making sure I knew everything, all the ins and outs with the contract. We sat down. I'm not going to say the parade crew. We sat down with a parade crew leader. He asked us this question: once the best high schools leave, do the crowd stay? And we both said no. If once you see your top 5 bands and your top colleges, are you staying at that parade?
I'm different. I'm a band.
You're right.
Most of the parade goers though are not just band heads. They like to be out there for the shenanigans.
Let me jump in, sir. Let me just jump in. Okay, you're a band head. Yeah. Under the bridge, Bacchus, 10 o'clock at night. How does it look compared to Bacchus? Same bridge, same night at 7:30.
That's the difference.
Well,
but at 7:30, your top 5, your top 10 bands came through. At 10 o'clock, you're at the minimum, you're at the back.
Well, look, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be real. I just want to cut this off short. I used to go in a parade before the big parade and ask to be in the back. It was a smart thing. I used to go in a parade before the big parade. Put me in the very last band. Think about it. Why?
Yeah,
because you're gonna be all the bands to still be there, right?
Because I know I'm in the back of the box by the fire truck. Ain't nobody out there but the drunk winders.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's true. But I do agree with her with that a little bit, kind of with the prestige a little bit. I'm in the middle.
Right. And I understand completely because it makes sense. But at the same time, if I know my kids aren't gonna get home till like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm not gonna put my kids in that predicament. I put them, like he said, I put them in the parade before that, towards the end.
And there's a lot of band directors who think the same way. Now, Yeah, for real. Nah. No, man. You know, there's a lot of cats who think the same way. I'd rather be last in the first parade than first in the last parade, because of all of that. And so I'm gonna throw it this way too, because I fully believe as a middle school band director, when I was doing my thing, we were better than high schools, and we legit marched in front of high schools repeatedly. It wasn't even a grandfather then. It could have been a little bit, but still, as a middle school band director, if you got 100 horns and drums, you fully uniform, just like they fully uniform. I'm just saying, as anybody. Yeah, we didn't had over that a couple times. All right. So if yeah.
I just wanted to ask that.
All right.
You talking about your band?
Huh?
You talking about your band?
I'm talking about several bands.
Oh my God.
But what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is that being in the front will always be a thing of prestige. Why? Because we value it. And that's the only reason why. We value it. But it does have perks. If you first in the first parade, you ain't got to step through beads, you ain't got to step through dogs. The crowd is kind of light. Like you in first, drunk? You get the same amount of money. And so I think that by having the first parades be reserved for middle school, elementary, marching groups and stuff like that, you actually diminish the prestige of those parades. And like a parade marshal told me, it might have been the same series of meetings. My job is to have a parade, an entertaining parade from the front to the back.
Exactly right. Well, and I'm gonna tell you. So now I gotta put on my marketing hat, and this is gonna be my one of 2 points I'm gonna make. So I mean, even if you do decide to do that, I could understand how it could be perceived as devaluing, but then that's up to the marketing relations department of each of those parade crews. If you the parade that's before Bacchus, or you the parade that's before Orpheus, up your stock and make it something that's worth participating in. It's not hard to do. Y'all have the dollars to actually put into a marketing budget to up the value of your parade. You know, and you know, that could be for first weekend and Super Crew weekend.
So I'm gonna take that point and say, yes, you are absolutely correct. You know how I'm gonna do that? By putting the best bands that I can get in my parade. And then now we're back to the same thing. We're back to the same thing. We're back to the same thing.
I did it Demi one year. I didn't realize first year I ever marched the Demi. This was my last year in middle school. You know, Demi started at 4:45. Yeah. You know, I got out there for 3:45. You know, what happened, right? Yeah. I laid on the grass till 7:30 because you know, like I said, you sit there and them parades be so long, man. By the time we made it to the Superdome, it had to be like you know.
Going to the dome.
No, they played. So I bumped my kids up. You know, talk about the top 4.
Yeah. Man, and then most of the colleges,
No. I sat that grass for 4 or 5 hours getting that Superdome here. That was my last year, about 3 years ago.
Okay, I believe that was the year where they had the death.
No, that was the year before that.
Okay.
Yeah, before that was 3 years ago. Yeah.
That's a real thing. The only that is a real thing. Hence why you want to be in the front. Mm-hmm. Hence why you want to be the best band. Hence why you want to have the best parade. But they don't. But they do. They don't stop people from coming into the ball, right? Yeah. Everybody go through the ball. Yeah. But by the time, if you behind float number 17, by the time you make it to the convention center, the Marine Corps band is already at home, changed and in their bed.
You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
They're done. They're done. Jesuit, because they're like top 5 Bacchus. Like there's in parades, there's hierarchies. We all know that you're not going in front of certain people, right? A band like Jesuit or East Jeff, by the time a band like Arise or Berman or Hart or Booker T make it, Carr, right? By the time they make it, by the time Carr make it, Jesuit is already on their buses on I-10 going home. By the time Berman make it, they've already dismissed. Parents then came and picked them up. By the time Arise makes it,
Domino's closed.
And so that's I know I'm saying
It's true though.
you know, I'm saying the same thing over and over, is that you kind of command that. What band directors I've done, I will admit I've taken less money to move up in a parade because the money wasn't important, but then that goes back to the way I ran my operations too. This parade is extra. I don't need to make the money to sustain the program. I don't need to make the money to pay for this, that, or that.
Before you walked in, like not having a union, not having people speaking about this, because every network is different.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody in here has a different scenario of budget, how much you get paid, not get paid.
Most band directors and band programs don't even get funded from the school. So you don't. And then you fall under athletics, and athletics get budgets, and you know they get stuff, but the band doesn't get anything.
Not every school.
Not every school, I understand, but I'm
telling you, last school.
no, but your band doesn't get any budget from the school, period. So if we don't get a budget from the school, how are we supposed? It takes about $10,000 for you to start a band up every year.
But that goes back to the conversation that we just need to get bands together more and try to get together because it's back to race.
Yeah, but then it's hard because everything is decentralized because you don't have a central figure that is responsible for all the music programs because everybody it's a business now. Every charter network is a business. Yeah. Everybody runs their things a certain way. Yeah, they all fall under NOPS. But at the same time, NOPS only has so much say-so over all the charters and what they can do and what they want to do.
The elegant solution to this is something that we've tried when I was with Eldridge Charter, is that we would have the band directors meet, like PDs. We tried it. We tried it. Yeah. We tried it. We tried it. All PD, like network PD days and stuff like that. We tried it. All right. It worked for some as far as information sharing, but it didn't accomplish that kind of end goal. Right. The only thing that I have to say about the lack of a union is that it enables somebody with drive to stand out amongst the crowd and like go get it. So you don't have anybody telling you this is your minimum. You establish your minimum. You establish your maximum. You also don't have people telling you exactly what to do. And that was the freedom I enjoyed in middle school, man. I enjoyed that because you didn't have a football schedule. Right. You didn't have a football schedule. Yeah. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do that. Right. But then I'm just saying, when you have people representing you, then comes stipulations, comes expectations.
Well, so my question, when unions was, let's say when they had Mr. Long and them, and they been had it, it was expectation when you took the job. I think now we got kind of lax, and then we put standards up. It feel like there's a lot, but technically, is it really a lot? Or it's just that we kind of got desensitized and kind of went with. Like COVID was bad, because a lot of the workers talking about, I'm tired. Everybody kind of chilled for COVID because we started seeing light outside because we was used to being in the Bandroom all day. You know what I'm saying, right? I tell people I never saw them in light. Especially my people that been teaching for years and all that. What I'm saying is, like post COVID, are band artists gonna look at band kind of different now because you realize how much time they got in the daytime?
I would say.
I know you should was actually.
I would say on my personal view is I was going crazy without band because I've been doing marching in band since I was in 7th grade. Right. All through college, came right back and been hitting the ground running. So it's my first time really just standing still. I always kept busy with Carl. Carl is from July to the end of the school year. And then I started right back up in June, with the drum majors and different sectional camps. So I was always going year round. I was busy, and for the first time in my life, I was just still not doing anything. And I was going crazy in my mind. And just as crazy as the kids was going with our band, I'm just ready to get back into it. So I appreciate it more, but I do realize that there's a little bit more to life outside of band because I was just so ingrained into it, focused into it, right?
Not a negative, just
right?
In general, we just seeing 16 hours of light, that's something we never saw.
Right. But, one thing that I think is, I hope what band directors do is that they work more efficiently because they see they can have so much free time on their hands you know. But I know going into this year, it's gonna be a lot of rebuilding
But
and
I'm
stuff.
saying,
Yeah.
if you just say the official, it becomes the new norm. I just say that, right? I just say that. And you say that before union makes people have less drive. I'm sorry, not less drive.
Not
But
not less
you
drive.
know what I'm trying to say, man.
No, unions are great.
I'm saying like how directors who really drive, you can see the difference in all that. What I'm saying is, if we had a union and it stayed there, I'm talking about like a Mr. Long person, then the level would have always been here. You would have started on that level and kept pushing.
My argument against that is that why do you need somebody over you to tell you what to do? Or why do you need somebody to tell you what the standards are? That would be my pushback. I'm not saying that I disagree, but that's my pushback.
No, but
that's my pushback.
But for somebody that just come into the game as a band director, first time, first, second year, third year band director, you need somebody like that. You need something like that. And you know, because when I first got in, I came to you a lot.
Yeah.
Did I not?
And I'm gonna say this, like, I don't know who all reaching this. Yeah, right? Cool. Low, Keith, Will, Lonzy. Like, I was at all them dudes' neck about everything, you know? So yes, like, the information that they shared with me, I definitely shared it with everybody, you know, in the stuff I learned. So yes, you do. And I think it's your personal responsibility to seek that.
Well, hold on.
But if something was in place, it would be easier.
Let me go for a second.
Okay.
A lot of this information is not accessible. Let's talk about even getting into parades. When you first, high school may be different. When you first try to get into a parade,
You don't know what to do. You don't know who to call.
You may fall
Yes, you don't know who to call or what.
I called Burdell. I called Keith Thomas. I called different band directors that I knew from when I was in high school, and like, hey, look, I'm trying to get into parade. What do I do? What it is?
Like
you know.
Look, even conventions now. If you ain't part that circle,
Oh yeah.
Right, you ain't getting in. They got their own little
they got their own group text message. You lucky to hear about them.
Man, you're absolutely correct.
So
And
I do agree. We do need sometimes. You need somebody. Bands don't have a manual. It don't.
except they do.
You show me what that so I can pull it up.
Sure, give me a second. I'm gonna pull that. It's
But I'm
like
saying-
except we literally do
No,
have
I
a
know,
manual.
but we talking about the New Orleans culture, man.
Oh well, nah,
That's
Wild Magnolia
that's
right there, boy.
That's the swing we have because they do have like GLEs and all that for our music, our classroom, but they don't align to what we do. So then,
Well, you have to.
You have to create that extra
You
standard.
can follow it, but you modify it so it can work for you.
For you, right.
You do what you do with
Okay,
your lesson plans, so that way you're touching on all these
I got a
subjects.
question for you.
Yeah.
I didn't have this issue. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
Is you have a GLE, whatever grade teacher, and then somebody come in there and be a master teacher, well, you're not doing X, Y, Z. You know, sometimes, like you say, modify. Sometimes people don't understand that, especially the out-of-town artists.
I understand where you're coming from. I never had that problem. I never had that problem.
I'm just speaking, like, my man, he's in middle school. Middle school GLEs is complete, you know it's different.
It is different.
It is. It's music class.
It's, except because instrumental music doesn't start until grade
That's
4.
what I'm trying to say. So how do you...
So, I mean, there's still, if you go on the NAPI website, they still have those all the standards you got to have. And you could use those natural standards, talk to your administrators, your master teacher, instructional coach, whatever, and talk that.
But what about what you say we had somebody to talk about?
This is what I was saying. Like you just said, your master teacher. What if your master teacher is a math teacher?
Exactly.
You know,
they're
but
gonna work like, hey, look, I'm gonna hit everything you need me to get 4s and 5s on my evaluation.
But your math teacher tell you this.
But this is my actual lesson plan.
They don't
follow all
understand
the,
please.
That's fine. They don't got
saying
to. As long as they understand what I'm doing and following the instructions, saying this to do now, this is the I do, you do, we do, whatever.
But what about they trying to hear that?
But no, that's what I'm saying. But when they say, but you're doing all this stuff, your GLEs, but I don't see how this is incorporating to math. How's this going to science and social studies and English?
So
Because
if they want cross curricular, if that's what they requested beforehand, you could tie it in, put that into your lesson plan, saying I'm doing this because X, Y, Z.
But now I got this football game Friday.
That's fine. You could all tie it into that. That's
Now
not
it's
nothing
like,
different
now
because you
the
can use that
time is
marching band
all
music
over.
and apply the same things
I
as you
just
can with the
think we got
concert band
different
music,
schools
especially in the
with different
fall.
expectations.
Yeah,
We do.
we do. That's part of the
Yeah.
union. This just
That's-
shows
that's
why
all.
we need
That's all.
a standard.
That's
I mean,
all.
you got to be versatile as an educator to be able to do all that stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, you're not going to have the issue. If you have an issue, all right, talk to a math teacher, your instructional coach, whatever you want to call it, whatever the title is, and be like, all right, well, what can I do differently to make sure I hit these goals, to make sure I'm meeting your expectations? and look, we got to hit these things. You know, you got to talk together, work together as a
question,
group.
Mr. Rowe. That's a
Yeah.
good thing to say. But you're right. I think a lot of times when we get a new teacher who don't understand that and they trying to tie it in, it's hard because nobody's showing them how to pull this into math or pull it into music. You get what I'm saying?
So now
Some people are not teaching. Huh?
I disagree with that. I disagree too, because
I'm listening.
let's start off with the most operative word that you used, teacher.
Right.
I'm listening.
All right. So if
Differentiation.
you are a teacher and you have been trained as a teacher,
A lot of people not.
that's what.
That's
Okay,
why I
That's
like
another
it.
subject.
That's a whole different
right,
subject.
right.
Okay.
But if you have been trained as a teacher, and I know a lot of cats don't know this, I started off as secondary social sciences in education. So I have legit teacher training before I even stepped into the classroom. And I've been an assistant band director before I even took over. So some things that you learn in the College of Education, you learn how to.
Exactly.
I agree, sir. I went through that, but a lot of these music teachers
No,
are not
this
going
what
that.
you
Stop.
said music teachers.
Exactly.
Most band directors are not music teachers. They going through music performance. They're not even going through the
That's
school
what
of
I'm trying to
education.
say.
So they don't
So-
really understand
But that's
differentiation.
what I'm trying to say. That's what I went on his side. So now these charter schools, a lot
So
of us people.
I would say this to counter that. If you know you want to be a music teacher and you have a degree in music performance, why not do the necessary, take the
agree.
processes
I agree.
to be an effective
agree.
teacher?
But most
Because it's
people,
not about you. It's
they
about
run
making sure
away
you're a good
from that.
teacher for those kids.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Bro. That's what
They
I'm
come
saying.
in here.
That's why I'm like.
They just want to wave their hands. Yeah, blow. That's all. That's all.
Because you are absolutely correct. Nobody, you can read music when you out on that street.
Right.
They don't. I'm sorry.
All right, but he said he gonna
But
burn it out, but
all right,
do too many
but nobody cares. Nobody cares on a collegiate level. Nobody cares who got a scholarship for knowing how to play the damn oboe during a field show. Who cares about that? I don't.
the music nerd does.
Or the line straight. How you going?
right.
How can you assess that? How can you assess that?
If you're not even playing on that instrument,
How
don't
can you
watch the
how
TV.
can you assess that during a marching band performance? You can't. And so it goes back to that public perception, right? Do you look good? Do you sound good?
I agree.
Do you look good? Do you sound
Right,
good?
that's
And
true.
then can you make this group of kids look good and sound
I
good?
got a question though. There's a question. Hey, sir, that's what I'm talking about. Is the culture still strong that we doing that? A lot of stuff we losing out on the culture.
But the culture, I don't think that the culture, you're
I never
losing out
saw
on the
that.
culture. I think that the culture is ever changing.
Yeah,
It
I was about to say
changes.
that first.
Think about the standstill mummy glide drummers,
Don't
right?
go, that's old boy.
Exactly. You do that now.
Yeah,
It's a wrap. Now you can't compete. You can't compete now because you don't have that extra.
Is it old or the YouTube wasn't around for people to see other schools
That
doing?
too. All of that. Except there was always VHSs.
I have a whole t-shirt.
Got him.
I'm just saying, a lot of stuff people been doing, we just not disposed to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring it up because that was that brings it back to a previous point that we all made to where it's just like there's no differentiation in band identity. You know, everybody wants to do what the next band saw. Oh, this band got house, we should do it, and then it spread.
But as a
like
band-
wildfire.
I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing, so I just came.
That's good.
How
Came out with the drum majors, right?
Yeah.
Damn near everybody doing
everybody doing it?
There's nothing different now. It's
There
nothing
is.
really-
This is youth.
It is y'all doing it right. We can tell. We can understand. Of course, we understand the level of the. But everybody trying to do the style.
Right,
You get
so-
what I'm saying?
right, so-
it's
so-
like
so-
they trying. We understand the level of the.
Yeah. So and now.
It's like Frosted Flakes and corn flakes with sugar.
Yeah, I was just
Exactly.
saying, you add less sugar. You add less sugar.
You
just
gotta
saying,
sprinkle
dog,
it
I mean,
even around the
I
bowl.
like steak. Like I'll go pay big money for a steak, but I still rock with chicken strips too.
But the point I was getting at is just like, okay, so because I spent that year at Carr, I was able to get a feel for the true infrastructure. I know the time that y'all put into, the everything that the drummers do, everything that the drummers do, everything that the entire band does and everything. And it's just like being a part of it, and watching everybody else do it once I'm removed from it, y'all are trying to be carbon copies and y'all are not doing it correctly.
Yeah.
You understand? And to watch one band copy this one, it's just like a photograph. The more times you copy a photograph, the more diluted the quality becomes.
Yeah.
And it's just like when everybody in the city is trying to be just like this one particular band who brought a certain college swag down to the city that's particular to them, and everybody else is trying to do it. It just makes the culture look completely bad. Now it's difficult to recruit. You know, oh, do y'all do X, Y, Z? Well, no, we don't do that. We got our own identity. Oh, man, I'm going to go over there because the first 9, 10, 12 bands I saw do the exact same thing. Now, to the 9 and 10-year-old, it all looks the same. But we band heads, we're real purists to this. We know what it looks like when Carl does it versus everybody else.
But somebody gonna accept it. Somebody's gonna accept what you're doing. Take Southern and Jackson State. They're polar opposites.
Yeah.
They have pretty much the same crowd, but you're gonna like what you like, and people are gonna pay what they pay for. Jackson State is a premier band. Southern is a premier band. They have Alcorn. You got Talladega. They just coming into their real sound and what they really, really are. That's a lot of these bands around the city. They are copying each other, which you could say music, styles, even uniforms. You know, everybody got pretty much same uniform, same style, same book, all of that. But those bands that come down here, all those bands that's from here, that does their own thing, somebody's still gonna accept it. You could get like a John Eric. John Eric got a well-rounded band. Somebody pays to see them. Carver, somebody pays to see them.
I think he was saying more of the recruit side of it.
I mean,
It's
the recruit side of a kid
You're
is,
saying somebody versus everybody buying into it.
but you can't please everybody.
No.
You know-
And I'm talking about when I say everybody, I'm talking about it
I
in
know-
regards to
Yeah.
kids that are interested in music. So what makes it really difficult, for, Joe Blow High School to recruit, if I'm just starting out a band and I got 25 people, I'm trying to get to 50 by the next year so I can actually start to raise my stock and start to demand the prices that I want to demand for
But that's how
participating in these parades. It's just like, well, if I'm talking to these kids who march in middle school, but they go to my school and they're not participating in band. Well, why you not participating in band? Oh, because y'all don't do the things that Carl do.
But that's how you get to that, though. 'Cause
But y'all know this. When we first started doing that, everybody in the city was trying to crucify
it was like-
me for doing that.
Right.
Yeah. When my drummer started rocking the drums, like, man, what are they doing? They would start crucifying with everything that we was doing, and I ain't care. I'm like,
Man.
look, we gonna do what we do. We gonna like.
And I'm gonna tell you this though. So because I was at St. Aug at the time,
Yeah.
when you guys marched on the track and
Yeah.
everything, and we saw that, and we was like,
Oh, people was mad.
well, so no, our crowd was booing, but the staff and everything, we sat back and we was like, this about to be a tidal wave. I said, we're gonna have to sit this out and wait. And sure enough, fast forward 10 years, we still sitting out and wait. You understand? Because now it not only was it a tidal wave, but now it done turned into a cancer.
Yeah. And
You
see,
know?
I agree. I agree.
We applauded you guys for bringing something fresh. Because everything else at the time, it was either St. Aug or Southern based. You understand? So we applauded that and we welcomed it. Like we couldn't wait to face Carter following year. It was just like, all right, cool. We know what we got on our agenda, moving forward and stuff like that. But now it's just like,
Man. And so now take that same thing and then apply it to the parade crews. Why I need to get you, band number 7, who is doing the same thing, bands number 1 through 9 are doing. Why? What sets you out differently? And then for the people that are afraid to be trailblazers, I say go get it, because I'm gonna tell you, I saw it, I said, the kids like it, like cool. And then we started trying, man. Because one of the kids went to car. We started trying. It ain't look right. What we doing? Yo, Jared.
exactly.
We need some training. And then so you started doing that. And then like just going back, like you said, tidal waves. I remember the exact moment the standstill percussion died. I remember the exact moment. A lot of y'all was there. It was New Orleans All-Star versus Houston. It was in Berman Gym.
Yes.
And them dudes, they came through. The cymbal player did some stuff. He threw the cymbal, like fell on it. It's on YouTube. Matter of fact, one of y'all shot it. You see what I'm saying? And then New Orleans came up there, and the line is cold. They have some hounds in that section. The section was tight. It was nice, but it did not garner the kind of reaction that the dancing and the thrusting and the rocking and all of that stuff.
But I'm gonna tell you though, historically, New Orleans drummers never really go on that reaction whenever you're dealing with an out of town band.
Never.
But the
Never.
whole thing is just like having them understand this is your identity and you stand on that. You know, if you felt like you put 100% into it, okay, that's good, that's great. You know, I learned from the great Edwin Harrell Hampton. The crowd is stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at some point, you know, there was a change where it's just like we allowed the crowd to dictate who we are, not necessarily what we do because we there to entertain the crowd, but we allowed the crowd to dictate who we are.
I don't really believe that. I'm gonna tell you what I feel. I feel the only thing New Orleans was mostly exposed to was Southern. So that was there mostly. Now we're graduating a lot more kids and they're going to different colleges. So now we're getting the flavors from all these different colleges now. So that's what
flavor. Because now it's no longer Southern based, now it's Jackson State based.
It's not really Jackson State. I can still distinguish East College from East. I'm getting everything. I'm getting everything. I'm getting everything. I'm getting everything.
I'll tell you that right now.
Attempting to be Jackson.
Not even that. Because you got these other bands, kids graduating from TC, Talladega College. Kids just going, like, all right, going back to what you said. More New Orleans graduates are going to these colleges outside of Grambling and Southern. Right? When I was in high school, at first, all I knew was Southern and Grambling until I saw Jackson State for the first time in my life in person at a Boombox Classic. That game changed my mind.
Right.
And then with the high school all-star band my senior year, we took a trip to Texas Southern. I saw Texas Southern for the first time in person. We started getting exposed to more colleges and like, man, you know what? I don't need to go to Grambling or Southern. You know, I'm an audition everywhere. And we had a mass audition of different colleges that came audition different kids. It was at UNO my senior year, I remember that. And I auditioned to all these different colleges. It was Grambling, Texas Southern, Jackson State, Alabama State. Miles was there. That's why Miles got a whole lot of New Orleans kids after that year. I
remember that.
I mean, they were slinging that money, you know, and then that's when a lot of more kids got exposed to different colleges and they started graduating from these different colleges and doing what they want to do.
So put a pin in that. That might be the first thing any kind of union decides to do. Get these colleges here to do a mass audition. Do a mass audition. That might be the first thing. That is a low hanging fruit. You know, something with a low barrier that people can do. That's my wife. I'm sorry.
So that's something that's going on. Know the Legacy of Bands has been attempting to do. Has done that for 2 years. I know normally college banders will reach out to me and say, or I'll reach out to them. And, you know, they'll say, hey, how many kids you guys that are seniors? Do you have any kids that play this instrument that are seniors? You know, and they'll come down and recruit, just like the football coaches go to recruit from the football team. Same thing, they come recruit from the band. So,
yes, I know that it happens.
Yeah.
I know that it happens in pockets.
Yeah.
You know, because it's always been happening in pockets, right? You can set something up for your school and whoever, you know, work together with. But is there, like the union, right? That person, that spokesperson, NOLA Legacy of Bands is a great organization, right? And it might start and live with them. But to gather all of these colleges and universities in one place and have them do a UNO-style audition, you're there for 8 hours, we're going to feed you, we're going to take care of you, and we're talking about anybody from the entire region, that might be the linchpin, that might be the thing, the carrot that's on the stick to kind of get that unity rolling a little bit. It just might work.
I tried to kind of get that going when I was in Alcorn, Mr. Rivera, you know.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Like, I was the first actually at Alcorn from New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
I brought.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought Kennard, all them Landry Walker children. I'm the one who brought them up there. That whole little wave of New Orleans children going to Alcorn. That was on my back. The band directors, I ain't gonna say they didn't want to, but they wasn't focused on coming down here. Mm-hmm. Almost all the auditions, children from Alcorn, I did those. I was the one auditioned going to schools, this, that, and the other, checking on them, all that. A lot of these band directors not, like you said, not trying to do that. They kind of, who you want to go here? You going to come to me, I only want the best, stuff like that. But when you really get your name out there, the best is going to come to you.
And so it goes back to that setting your price, having a product, and all of that. So the colleges want it too. The colleges want it too. It's it's y'all's job as band directors, for those kids to prepare them so that their stock is high. It's also your job as a band director to ensure that, yes, your drummer can read music. It's also your job as a band director to have your kids play and perform at the best, with the best, in the best. So you're not going to be last in the last parade. You're going to be first in the highest profile parade. You're gonna smash the performance at the highest profile event you got. You are gonna muscle your way into the convention scene. I know that's but it goes back to that. It is, yes, you can have people advocating for you, because that's what a union is going to do. They're going to advocate for everybody, the everyman. And that's a great thing. It's a noble thing. And it also, the weight of it also sits squarely on the individual shoulder. It does. Because if you meet the baseline, if you meet the minimum, you're just going to be the minimum.
Like I do think, like what you said, and a lot of great topics we touched tonight, like you said, as far as the union, we're talking about as far as just the culture of the city and things. And a place like this is a positive environment that we could talk as band directors to kind of like, air stuff out, how we feel and all that, because a lot of times there's a lot of disconnect from us, and it's not purposely. It's just, I guess.
Right, because everybody be busy.
Be busy, like you said.
Right.
We busy
And let's call it what it is, too. Everybody ain't friends with everybody.
Right, but that's what we're saying. Like we had our own type of whatever it is that we come together and talk and have a
at
mind.
least-
But I'll say this, that those attempts are being made in earnest with the high school band directors the past couple of years pre-COVID,
Right.
COVID kind of shut everything down, but we started getting our stuff together.
Yeah.
We're being more organized, sharing information with each other, so that we will be knowledgeable and be like, hey, I will not take $200 to do this parade when you're paying this band $300.
Can I ask some of your high schools directors, right? Because I know in the past, middle schools, y'all had y'all own meetings and stuff as well, right?
That was
sorta.
Yeah, that was generally trying to get the middle school battle band
then
stuff
your
off
kick.
the ground. But yeah,
high school directors, you guys have y'all meetings, y'all trying to get things together, right? Your middle schools, your feeder schools, the people who you're trying to get your kids from, they're in a disarray. Because each middle school band is basically doing their own thing, their own thing. So now, you're trying to get kids, and I know most band directors be like, this is my feeder school. You don't want too many people at that school, talking to that school, but at the same time, your middle school band directors are lacking resources. They're lacking knowledge. They're lacking a whole lot of stuff. Now, every middle school band director is not like me, who's going to come in your band room and is going to ask you questions or call your phone. Every middle school is not that. So how do we get the middle schools up to par?
I do think that's a great topic that we can start, like what we do with more of these things, because it's so much stuff that we could touch base on. And I know I ain't trying to cut you off, because it's so much stuff as directors. I think this is a good time to have. We had our panel. We kind of add some stuff out, and we know like how we could get back together and what stuff that we could kind of bring to the table. Because I mean, Mr. Gary, it was a real good production you did for you guys that let us come down here and talk.
Come on, look, come to the new in the car building.
Jeremiah, huh?
Jeremiah.
So y'all never take over. Never take over. Not for long, huh? Not for long, huh? 2832, Jeremiah.
That's fine. 2400 is our street now.
So man, I feel like we had it was a good job. I appreciate talking to you guys today, man. These guys came and really helped us.
Man, bro, this was a blessing, man. I really came to drop off a little issue, a little something, and then I saw this. I'm like, wait, hold up, I know something about this. Let me add something.
Man, I walked in, you just dropping a wealth of knowledge, like always.
Hey, man, I'm an open book, man. Man, shouts out to y'all guys, man. Y'all doing it for real. Y'all doing it.
you the OG,
Y'all doing
bro.
it.
Well, just
Man, I'm not an OG,
just to
man.
say
I'm
his
just-
age, I was his first student.
Yeah, he was one of the first.
About 20-something years ago.
Hey,
Wasn't that long.
that's something we was actually talking about at one of those meetings. You know how to bring it all together because everybody's is trying to have resources to help each other out. It's not
So-
just on the high school level.
I'm gonna throw this in here because everybody who know me know I always talk about it because yes, you have needs that are unmet, but there's no need to reinvent the wheel. You know,
Yeah.
so go join District 6. Join District 6. You'll get nuggets of knowledge dropped on you, you know, just from some guys that has been in the game 40, 50 years. They done seen it all. They have been through a lot of it. Now, what a representation is lacking is in New Orleans proper. They don't have the insight of what goes on in New Orleans proper. I'm not talking about Jefferson Parish. I'm not talking about Chalmette. I'm talking about New Orleans. Like, they don't know the plight of, or they're not really, really familiar because they don't have people like us saying what's going on. And use the resources because we want to know how to take a band director and turn him into a music teacher. You go and talk and get the resources from a master music teacher. You know, we want to prepare students to go to college. Okay, cool. Prepare them to go to solo and small ensemble things, right? Like those are legit steps. We want to smash the battle of the bands. Go to marching festival, get adjudicated. Do the excuse my language again. I'm sorry. Do the same show. Do the same thing that you were gonna do. It's actually better because it's all bands. It's all bands. It's nobody in the crowd. It's videoed for free. It's judged for free. Well, not for free. You got to pay like $100. But you get commentary from experts. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. So we have our next one. You know, we can goes well. You can bring some knowledge in here.
Hey, man.
You know, we appreciate
Hey, dog. Man, I got it.
And I know it's getting late. I appreciate being with you guys.
Man, this is great, man.